Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk, or even phone them at 07789 794248. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Rhys Deans of Creative Space Podcast, and I am your host truly once again. Now, on this podcast, I have another fellow Barry boy on the show to talk about his rags to riches story, you know, how he got into the industry, and it's none other than Charlie M. Jones. Charlie and I have so much in common, not just from being Barry boys, but for the fact that his mum, Melody Jones, was a primary school teacher, and she taught me, she taught my fiance, and my fiance and her go way back, and they're very close, dear friends. And I think this episode has been a long time coming. It's become sort of like a moment, if you will, a moment of this has to happen. It's like the dream match, you know, with Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The dream partnership going within the community of mine, Emily's, Mrs. Jones, as I called her, and Charlie. So it had to happen. Just to give you a bit of a heads up here, the audio is not the very best on Charlie's side. It's only because he was sat in a theatre somewhere in Finland, and he was using his AirPods to hear, just in case no one in the background was going to disrupt it. So it sounds like he's on the phone, but he's not. It was all done on Zoom, and from my perspective, the audio seems great. But if you guys struggle to hear on his end, I do apologise. But it's the best that we can do. But I hope that doesn't ruin your experience in listening to the podcast. But without further ado, it was still a fun conversation, and we talked so much. I mean, we talked about him being a lighting designer, working with Derren Brown, and him touring all over the UK, all around the world, and doing so much opera, musicals, etc. So I gotta stop there before my introductions go way over time and you get bored of me. So it's me and Charlie Jones on Creative Space Podcast. Charlie Morgan Jones on my podcast. You're the first behind the scenes person in terms of lighting, set, designer, or I know you do the lighting, but everyone in that field, you're the first one in that field to come on my podcast to talk about lighting.
I feel very privileged.
And what's so funny is because when I sent out the email, and I gotta let everyone know this, I know we had a brief moment before I pressed recording. So your mum, Melody Jones, was a primary school teacher who taught myself and taught my fiance. And of course, my fiance, Emily, became really close friends with your mum. And it just seems it seems like the connections was meant for each other to have this podcast in some weird way.
I know. Well, I didn't know that until you told me when we had that brief moment before. I had no idea that you were you, let's say.
Yeah.
It's thrilling, and it's nice to know that I mean, Mum has made such an impact on so many people's lives and continues to do so, I think, which is great.
Yeah. But what I want to know from you is, it's really intriguing because, of course, we all love the theatre and we all love every aspect of it. But looking at your portfolio and looking at the experiences you had, I mean, you've done so many musicals, so many operas, and I want to know what intrigues you about opera before I ask, why you wanted to start. Because it seems when I was looking at your CV in some ways, it just seems there's loads of opera. So what really attracts you to that form of theatre?
I suppose I was saying to someone just yesterday, I'm sorry if you can hear drilling and banging in the background, by the way. I'm doing an opera in Finland in the middle of a castle, and they're still building the theatre literally around me.
Yeah.
So if you hear that, I apologize. Basically, I said to someone the other day, I'm a closeted musical theatre lighting, which is true. And I think what I ultimately love, it doesn't matter to me if it's a hip hop dance show, which I've done plenty of, or I know it's surprising, but it doesn't matter to me if it's a hip hop dance show or an opera by Puccini or Bizet or Pino or whatever, or a musical by Angela Webb. If there's music that emotes and I can light with that music and to that music, I'm there for it. And it so happens that I sort of didn't fall into opera. I've always loved opera, and my mum and dad always took me to see the Welsh National Opera at the new theatre before it moved to the Millennium Centre. And through the Welsh National Opera, I got into more theatre through a chap called Perrin Leach, who my mum also taught his daughter. And in fact, Perrin now runs the Canadian Opera Company, where I now light operas, which is lovely. So yeah, I sort of fell into it and then fell in love with it. And the creative team who I'm doing Romeo and Juliet here at Savonlinna Opera Festival in Finland, and the team who I'm doing this with, which is Amy Lane and Emma Wyatt. Amy Lane is director, Emma Wyatt is the second costume designer. We work around the world together, and so because we are an opera creative team at the moment, there's no saying we won't do musicals, and I can't imagine them doing a ballet because I've seen Amy dance. But because we're an opera creative team, we work in opera around the world, and that's why my CV is so full of opera, because it takes a lot of planning. I'm booked up through all of next year already, so I know that I'm doing lots of operas all of next year. And it means that if someone rings me up and says, "Can you do this musical at short notice?" Musical tends to be a little bit more short term in the planning. Often I can't because I'm already committed to something. Sometimes I can make it fit, but yeah, I suppose that's why a lot of opera is there in my portfolio, my CV.
So why lighting designing? What really attracted you to that field in theatre? Was it because of the creative side of lighting designing? Was it something that because you thought I'd be good at this? What was the core of the reason behind it?
I mean, I can't say there's not one definitive reason. It's simple to that question. But basically, when I went to the theatre when I was younger, I remember, as I'm sure we all did, looking up behind us and seeing the follow spot beams of light over our heads, picking up the actors on stage. And I always thought that was really, I guess, romantic and magical and exciting. And when I discovered that it was an art form, I was at school in Cardiff when I discovered that they had a new theatre built and I could do this as a thing. I think what I really enjoyed was emoting through light and playing with color, and does this song feel like this color? And I think I don't think I'm unique, but I think it's a privilege that when I hear a piece of music, or it tends to be music. When I hear a piece of music, I quite often see a color, or certainly an angle of light, or a strength of light. And so to me, it feels, this is a terrible answer because it feels completely natural and like there's nothing else in the world creatively that I could possibly do, because this is the one thing that I was biologically made to do. Um, I'd love to design. I'm looking at, I won't show you because I'm going to be fired, but there's a beautiful set in front of me, which I know exactly how to light it. I couldn't draw that. I couldn't imagine that set. You know, I can't ever think of starting a piece and going, this is the set that needs to happen over here. I'm very much a light designer, and because light is unlike sound is not tactile at all. Light can be tactile. You can see a beam, but also you can sometimes not see a beam. And where's that coming from? Why does that look like that? And how is that person's face shadowed? I once got a job because I said I was very good at sad lighting, and it's true. I'm really good at sad lighting. And I can't quite put my finger on what that is, but there's something about emoting with light, which is why I love doing it so much. And I think why I'm, dare I say, good at it, which feels very bold to say. But
no, nothing. I mean, if you're good at something, from there, blow your own trumpet. That's the whole point of it. But it's really good because the one thing I get about lighting when it comes to, let's say, musical theatre, for example, right? For some reason with lighting, there's something poignant about it. There's something definitive, because if you got a scene where I don't know, someone's fallen into depth of despair, let's just say, for some reason I could picture red as the color that someone falls into. Yeah. And it's like the usage of lighting and color to help transcend this scene into reality, to get the audience understand it. There's something psychologically effective about the lighting.
It's interesting you said that, because I always say, I was trying to explain my job to people because people don't really understand what it is. And I always say I'm like an editor for film, for lighting. So let's say your scenario, someone's falling into great despair on stage. Let's say you've got a huge, stages are big, they're 20 meters wide or whatever, and 10 meters high. You've got a huge set behind you. How do you go, let's lose everything that we can see, and we know it's all there, let's lose all of that and just focus on this one person? And actually, only lighting can really do that effectively. And I think that's what's really interesting, is I go to the audience, look over here now look over here, now look everywhere. And that, I think, along with the director, the director is obviously the director and does all of that stuff. But as the editor of the film and the theatre, you go, pull focus now over here, pull focus over here. And with the director's vision, you have a really clear idea of when to do this. And also musically, when you're doing an opera or a musical or a hip-hop dance piece or whatever, the music says, and now it's happy, and now it's sad, and now look over here, and now this person. It's really clear where the cues need to happen and where you should pull focus.
So, of course, being a Barry boy, where did you go to school? What schools did you go to?
I went to the cathedral school in Llandaff.
Oh, you went to the cathedral school in Llandaff?
Not actually in Barry.
No. Well, a lot of people from Barry went to the cathedral school. So, quite a few people. Is it because it's not far from Gibraltar, isn't it? If I'm right in thinking, is it that one?
Right, yeah. If you know where Llandaff Cathedral is, it's literally next door to that.
Yeah. My family, on my dad's side of the family, they're from Gibraltar.
Nice.
So I am familiar with. It's just when you say the names, it's like I need to see a picture, and then I go, now that's.
If you're coming from Gibraltar roundabout, with the Tesco Extra on your left,
that's it. Yeah,
at the next junction.
Yeah. So, of course, when you had going into, I imagine that you took theatre, drama, or anything as subjects, or I don't know because in some schools sometimes they don't take drama; they just take it as little side outside of school projects or whatever. So I don't know what the Llandaff Cathedral School did. So
I was very lucky. I did a drama GCSE, and then I was lucky to specialise in lighting. So for my GCSE, I was marked on the lighting design and the creativity of that, rather than the rest of the drama GCSE lot who were marked on the acting.
Yeah, it was really interesting when you said that, because when I did my GCSE, I did it in drama and in performing arts. So I was very, very lucky to have most of the courses that I wanted to pick. Um, because we did P-Tech performing arts, and my friend Jake Pugh, he did it. He picked performing arts and B-Tech, and I turned to him on the very first day, and I went, Jake, you're not a performer. And I know him really well. I didn't go up to him. So I was like, Jake, you're not a performer. I didn't think you were a drama person. He went, no, I'm interested in the lighting and the sound effects and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And as you said, he got assessed separately to everyone else because he wanted to do the lighting and the sound. And it was
Yeah.
it's really interesting as well, because um in the B Tech, all of us had to do practical work, but for Jake, my mate or my old school friend, he he had to go in the examining room to write down all the basis of, right, what do you do of X, Y, and Z? I don't know,
Oh
and
wow.
and he had to do it that way, and we all just there's some of us sat there thinking, I feel sorry for him. He has to sit in the examining room, and there's us on the drama stage going,
Yeah, yeah.
"Yay!"
I can't remember. I mean, I might have had to do that. I can't remember doing that. It was 17 years ago that I sat my GCSEs, so it was some time has passed, and my memory is not the best at the best of times. Um, but yeah, I was lucky to be able to do it and
Yeah.
get experience. I think the thing about education, and I get often asked about going to drama school and stuff, and I think for me it was absolutely the right decision to go to drama school, because it's the last opportunity to make a mess of lighting something where you're not going to be judged. You're only going to be judged by your peers and the teachers. At the level that I'm at, you get judged by every reviewer going, and they're not always kind.
Mm,
So,
mm,
it's good to refine your skills as long as you possibly can in education, I
yeah.
think.
And it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's the
Exactly.
because that's the nature of theatre. It only works one way. If you do really a really good job or a fantastic job, then of course the reviews are going to come in and they're going
Yeah.
to praise the living daylights out of it. But if it's not done well, then
Yeah.
obviously the nature of the beast will come and strike, as they say.
And believe me, I mean, I've been very lucky. I've had some wonderful reviews in my career, of my lighting, which are always a surprise and very, very welcomed. But I remember the bad ones.
Mm. And
I can remember.
yeah.
I could probably quote exactly the first bad review I ever had.
Mm.
And I won't,
Yeah.
but it's funny.
It's very interesting though when you say that, because you'd think for individuals who are performers on stage or the ones in the lighting and sound, etc., you think the positives are always remembered. You remember the positives one, but it's not. It's always the ones that uh
Always the bad ones.
always the bad ones. And
Yeah.
my friend Mark was saying to me about it, and he's worked in the industry. He's worked with loads of people. He was like a roadie for Black Sabbath and all that. But
Wow.
yeah, I don't know how he does it. But he's worked with a lot of people in the BBC and everything. But he did say very interestingly that the reason why people remember the bad ones is because they want to mentally keep it in their mind, so that when the next show they do, they could do better than what it's been said.
I
It's
think
more like
that's
a,
it.
yeah.
I think no matter when I watch, one of my shows, every time I watch a show, even if objectively it's good, you can't help but think, I could make this better. How could I make this better?
Mm,
And I think it's when and we've all been guilty of it, when you rest on your laurels and you say, oh, actually, no, I'm brilliant, or this is good enough, or whatever. That's when it comes and bites you in the bum, and you have to realize, actually, no, you do have to, because it's a competitive industry ultimately, and there are 30 other lighting designers who could do this job just as well as I'm doing it. I'm just lucky enough to be the guy here who's having a nice time and making something I think look pretty, but I could do that.
yeah. when it comes to your first proper experience as a lighting designer, when was that? I'm not just talking about professional wise. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about where someone, maybe a teacher or maybe somewhere, someone said to you, Charlie, here you go, be in the lighting box, fill around with a few fades ins, fades outs, bit of color. When was that for you?
Well, it was probably when I was at the cathedral school, and I would have been about 13 or 14. And my drama teacher, Claire Morgan, who was so encouraging and a wonderful human being, She said I could do the lighting for the school show. She basically said, "Why don't you have a go?" And I thought, all right. And it was the school show, and it was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream. And I lit it without a single colour in the whole rig, which I think is very bold and quite Brechtian, really. But yes, it was a baptism of fire. It was just playing with how something looked, and it was rubbish. I mean, I was really bad at it. Let's be clear. I was 14 years old and thinking I was God's gift to lighting design, and I really wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that, and then I carried on doing it all through school, and then I went to the Everyman Theatre, and we did. I did lots of shows at Chapter with them, and Fun Futty and Sarah Baller, and did some stuff at the St. Fagans Outdoor Festival, and it just grew from there. I got a job at the Millennium Centre eventually when I was 18, and then went to drama school, and it just carried on. And I was very lucky. I had lots of support from my family, who really wanted me to make it.
Yeah,
I definitely wouldn't be here without the support of them now. That's absolutely a fact.
And do you know what? It's really good because when you have a mother like Melody Jones, who's got your back, you know, if you got someone like Melody Jones who has got you, supporting you all the way, then you can reach for the stars. I always think, because because I remember never forgetting in Palmerston Primary School, she would always be at the helm for directing all the school productions.
I remember I saw a few of them.
Yeah,
Dad would be roped in to do the lighting.
I was, and ironically, my first, and I think the only time I was in, no, I wasn't. I was, but I was such a naughty kid in school. I was kicked out of it. But when you said Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, that was my first and potentially only one that, and I think it was because I don't think it was just anything to do with Mrs. Jones. I think it was to do with another one of her colleagues, and someone said the scene. There was a scene going on. Maybe it was to do with because obviously when it comes to Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, it's always majority of times there's music all the way through, but because they didn't want to lose people's attention when it comes to song after song after song, they added little scenes, and there was a scene between all the brothers how they're going to tell their father that Joseph died or something like that. Someone said, okay, whoever was in the it wasn't even a class, just a few people were lucky enough to come and see it, this bit. What did you think of this scene? And I turned around and went, it's shit.
I'm sure that went down a treat.
I got sent to the head teacher's office, got given a right bollocking, and she went, why did you say that? I went, because it was. And I think right there and then, looking back now, I think, there was a bit of a theatre person in me that thought, something would come about of it, because I was completely against going on stage. It took me until the age of 14 to actually build up the courage to get on the stage and perform, because I would be
that's amazing. I'm so in awe of people who can perform, because it's so not me. I have crippling stage fright.
Do you know what?
Anything worse?
Yeah. If you're going to find someone worse, I mean, at the moment, I'm currently rehearsing. I've written a script, a one man play.
That's fantastic.
And I'm playing this character. If you don't know your football, that is absolutely fine. But don't worry, it's basically about a Cardiff City footballer way back in the day in the 20s.
Right.
And it's about his life, how he tried to get into the football team, and just as he thought he's getting in, World War I breaks out. He almost loses his leg. He's told,
"Oh my goodness,
you can't play anymore." But then he's like, no, I'm going to go and play football. That's my dream. And he does. And then he goes on to win the FA Cup with Cardiff. Captain. He's the captain of the team as well. So I
don't think you have to know football for that. That sounds like a great story, a human story.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen The Red Lion?
Yeah.
The Red Lion?
Patrick Marber. I got the place somewhere in my cupboard, actually.
It's fabulous. I was walking along the South Bank in London one sunny afternoon before work, and they happened to have some spare tickets left, and I thought, I'll go and see this. No, and I'm not a football boy at all.
Yeah.
And it is about football, but it's about human cost of football. It's an amateur football club, I think. One of the best things I've ever seen in the theatre. Had I read what it was about beforehand, I probably wouldn't have noticed it.
Yeah.
So do not judge a play by its playtext cover.
Oh yeah, because that's why in the advertisement we're literally saying in the advertisement, this isn't about football. This is one man's journey, triumph. It's from adversity triumph over adversity. This is a man who's got a destiny, and he's going at it no matter what has been thrown at him. And
Fantastic.
I mean,
where's it going to be on?
So it's going to be on in August and September. One in Tiny Rebel, which is obviously the pub in Cardiff, and then it's
cool.
Little Man's Coffee House, which is a coffee house, but it's being performed downstairs. And we are, fortunately, I can say this because around about this time this podcast will be released. It'll be in mid-July, so I can say this now. My script is being published, so it's
fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So my friend Mark, who's the executive producer, he does a lot of things. He's, like I said, I told you he did with Black Sabbath. He's worked with John Pertwee. He's worked with people from Doctor Who. He's people at BBC. Everything. He's done everything. How that man did it, I don't know. But he also runs a publishing company. And he said, "Oh, Reece, you got anything to publish?" And originally I wanted to write a book, and I was like, "Oh no, time's ticking away here. It's just I don't want to do that." And then I told him about the play, and he says, "Oh, how about we publish it, let alone put it on?" So I was like, "Yeah, why not? Why do we do it?" So it's
fantastic.
Yeah, and it is, as the saying goes, it's the people you know that will get you.
It's the people you know and a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm working on. I don't care if it's gonna kill me. So
that's really wonderful news. That's very exciting.
I'm going to name a couple of shows that a few shows that you've done. I mean, you've done Le Bohème, and that's the only opera I know. And the only reason I know that is because I was watching Trading Places starring Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
And there's that scene where Dan Aykroyd's been searched, right? He's having his life taken away from him. And the police goes, "What are these?" And it's like Le Bohème. And he goes, "Le Bohème, it's an opera." And that's the only way. Oh yeah, and Rent, because it's the basis of Rent.
It's the story of Rent,
yeah. So we got Into the Woods, Little Shop of Horrors. And that's how I knew of you, because Emily told me about Little Shop of Horrors at the New Theatre.
Yeah. That was a fabulous show.
Yeah, The Secret Garden, Evita, Avenue Q, Dracula, Seussical, The Blues Brothers, James and the Giant Peach, The Producers, one of my all-time favorite musicals, The Producers.
Great show.
I want to ask a couple of questions, just a variety of questions about in relation to some of these musicals. Of course, some of them were tours, some of them were at specific theatres, etc. When it came to The Producers, though, I mean, when you do it, who were the performance during that Producer? Do you remember them? And what was that experience like doing The Producers? Because I just want to know, because I love The Producers.
It was, well, I'll start by saying that everyone did their absolute bloody best, but we were up against it from the start, because it was a show in China, and we didn't have the support creatively, technically, acting wise, that we should have. So all of the creatives and all the cast did their absolute best. And it was a great show, but it was that was really actually one of the hardest shows I've ever done in my life, to put on, just because of the nature of the beast. You know, I can't remember if the production company who took it out there had done anything in China before. I'm not sure they had. We took Avenue Q and Seussical to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is a different beast to mainland China, and they're used to enforcing shows. It was an interesting experience, but I mean, it's a superb show, and I was very proud of how it looked in the end, and proud of the fact that we got it on. But silly things like, you know, we had, because it ridicules the Nazis, you know, it in no way is it endorsing the Nazis, to be very clear. But we had big swastika gobos for the bit when they're singing Springtime for Hitler as an ironic big bit of lighting. And it turns out that the Chinese government have a big say on what happens on stages in China. I got a phone call from the chief electrician about a week after I left saying, saying, "Oh, they've cut the gobos." And I thought, well, what do we do instead of that? And we had to use some rubbish, I don't know, starry, dotty gobo instead, because we just weren't allowed to use the swastika gobo because the Chinese government had decided we couldn't use the swastika gobo. So it was like that quite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it was it was an amazing experience. And I think I was there for 4 weeks in mainland China. It was a real experience.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewellery? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewellery Workshops. Vale Jewellery Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewellery. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. There's one there that's really caught my eye, and I want to know if it's actually the person I'm thinking of. It says Sam Shepard Shorts.
Yes.
So the playwright, as in the American playwright and everything. Did you ever? So would this be around the time that he was alive then? And did you meet him, or was it just?
No, I never met him. It was for an educational establishment. It was for Arts Ed. It was for their MA acting program. And we did 3 short plays back to back. So it was a straight through evening. It was 1, 2, 3. But again, they're fascinating plays about people, and you can really delve into character in those plays. But no, I never met Sam Shepard.
Well, there's a lot of what I noticed as well from your credit, not just opera, but Derren Brown as well.
It's quite a few Derren Brown shows.
Yeah, and I was looking through it and I was going, oh, so here we go. Let's have a look. So opera, Derren Brown, opera, Derren Brown. And I remember, I think I turned to Emily and said, why isn't there a Derren Brown the opera?
It's only a matter of time, I'm sure of
it. I've seen some of the pictures and the way Derren Brown was on stage, etc. But what was it like for you when you were first approached to do a Derren Brown production on stage, etc.? That must have been
It was completely thrilling. I mean, I remember the phone. I remember I was in Hong Kong, in fact, not to name them, when I got the phone call. And I remember I was on a rooftop bar. It was from a number that I didn't recognize, and I thought, oh, I'll ignore that, and they can ring back another time. We'll leave a voicemail. And Hong Kong is 8 hours ahead of the UK, so it was. I think we were having a drink, and it must have been lunch there. And this number rang back again, and I thought, oh, well, okay, I'm my pals, I'll ignore it again. Then it rang a third time, and it was the executive producer, and he said, I have a secret show that I'd like you to light. Are you interested? And I was like, and I knew him. We'd worked together before. I was like, okay, a secret show. sure, I'm interested. What are the dates? And he's a reputable producer, so I faith that it wouldn't be something terrible. And he told me the date. He said, "You can't tell me when you're lighting it." I said, "I don't know what I'm lighting." He said, "I'll tell you eventually." And then, no joke, about 6 weeks later, I got this contractor and everything. My agent said it didn't say the name of the show or anything. And about 6 weeks later, I saw John, who's the executive producer, and he said, "Have I ever told you what it is you're lighting?" He said that it was Derren Brown, and I think my jaw hit the floor. It was extraordinary because I've grown up watching his stuff on telly and on stage, and always thought he was fascinating and fabulous. And then to be able to work with him and create a show was just a complete joy.
So did you ever, is there any fond memories of you interacting with Derren Brown? Was there ever a moment, did he ever socialize with?
Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, he's one of the most charming people I've ever worked with. We always have a really great time, and he, comes out for drinks and meals and all sorts. He's a really good egg.
Mm. There's another person that caught my eye. I thought, "Ooh, who's this individual there?" And it was Julian Clary. That must have been an experience, I must say.
It was. I did 2. I think he did a show in town for like 4 nights or something. And in fact, it was the same executive producer as Derren Brown. It was before Derren Brown, but it was the same guy who asked me to light it. And yeah, I mean, I didn't get to know him as well as Derren, but it was a nice experience. It's and flamboyant. It was a very flamboyant, quite pink, nice experience.
Very experienced, especially for Julian Clary. I'd love to have him on my podcast. That's the one person I'd love to just hear the stories and everything. He would have tons of time.
I'm sure he had stories until the cows come home.
Yeah. Am I right in saying this? I could call you Olivier nominee.
Well, shows that I've lit have been.
Yeah.
But not for best lighting design, but lots of shows that I've lit have been nominated for Olivier's and other awards.
Yeah. Because I had seen the What's on Stage awards.
That was Little Shop of Horrors was nominated for that.
Yeah. Tell me about Little Shop of Horrors then. So that was a tour, wasn't it, that you did?
It was a tour. It should have had a much longer life. It should have gone into town and around the world. It was a fabulous show. It was one of those ones that I wanted to light, much like the producers, since I first saw the film. I was 15 or something, maybe younger. And actually, I really fought hard to light it. They wanted someone who had a bigger name than I did back at the time. And I really fought hard to light it and pitched it to them and told them it would look cartoony. And it did look cartoony in the end. We had a great time doing that show, creating that show with everybody. And David Shields, who designed the set, just designed the most beautiful set, like a lighting designer's dream, which is what we all want in life, a sort of a one set fits all. This thing here, which I can't show you, but is a sort of 1-2 set fits all in 5 different acts. And it's great. It's a joy for a lighting designer to play and create different spaces within one space. I think it's what every lighting designer secretly wants.
Yeah. Did if I'm right in thinking, what's the Welsh singer's name? Ridian? Was it Ridian who played Orin Scrivello?
Was the dentist, yeah.
Yeah, I just
great car.
Because he was the only one. I found it so bizarre because when it came to the new theatre, he was the only one on the poster because obviously him being a name.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre because I could just remember the white hair, he was like that. He was just posing.
He was astonishing. He was really fabulous, actually, and always hit his mark. Always hit his mark.
Yeah. I loved playing the dentist when I did it in Barry Boyce. It was such a weird, funny experience because it's a funny, but it was like a personal story as well. Because what had happened was they were thinking of doing Little Shop of Horrors, which he obviously did, and what had happened was my drama teacher was sat with his notepad and he was there just jogging down notes and he's watching the actual film with Rick Moranis in. And he's watching it and he's going like that. And as soon as Steve Martin, you couldn't have done it in perfect timing. It was spontaneous. As soon as Steve Martin on the motorcycle came on, I came into the room and my drama teacher just looked at me and went, "Reese, you're going to play him." And I just went, what? And at this time, I was about 14, 15. I haven't been in a musical. I haven't done a school production. Right? I'm taking drama and everything, but I've just never ever done something like this before. So I said, okay, thinking, nah, he's just saying this just for reasons or whatever. Then he told me to go and speak to one of the music teachers' wives who was doing the music score. And she said, "Are you familiar with Little Shop of Horrors?" I was like, "Nope, not familiar with most musicals whatsoever." So she started playing the songs, and I was like, I was a bit intimidated. I didn't even turn up to the auditions because what had happened, they were really encouraging me to go to the auditions, but what had happened, sadly, my grandfather on my father's side passed away, and the funeral was on the exact same day as the auditions. So I wasn't at all worried. I wasn't really bothered. I thought, oh, it is what it is. Oh well, we'll move on. And I was off for a couple of days. In no offense to the school, they said, oh, because it was around GCSE time, they said, oh, Reese, have a couple of days off because, it's a stressful time. Just have a few days off and then come back fresh. Thank you very much. And so a couple of days, got on to the Monday. I go over and someone's like, oh, congratulations, Reese. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, I just buried my band. What are you doing? Congratulations. But I had to look on the cast list, Orin Scrivello, Reese Deans / so-and-so. And I was like, so I barged into the drama studio, and it was my form tutor as well. And I was going, his name's Mr. Vikenyak, but we called him P. And it was like, P, what the freaking hell are you doing? He was like, you're doing it. I don't care. And I was like, but in all fairness, I loved it. Absolutely.
Good. I imagine it must be an amazing role for an actor to get their teeth into.
Oh, yeah. It was
a dreadful pun.
do you know what? It was doing the two songs. And I remember when it was the dress and tech rehearsals, and it was only going to be for 3 nights, so I was going to do the dress and tech run and the opening night. When it got to the dress and tech rehearsals, so obviously the song "It's Just the Gas," very very quick song, very intimidating song because you got to keep up with the score, the rhythm, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really a songy person, but and every time I kept doing it, and I keep in mind, I've got the mask on and I'm trying to sing over and over again. And the other music teacher who was doing the composer, Mr. Hilborn, he kept stopping, going, Reese, it's this, this, this. And I'm there going, and I lifted up the mask. I went, you try singing this with this mask on, faffing around on stage. And I put it back on. In all fairness, everyone started laughing because they were like, fair enough, easy. Yeah. And opening night came, loved it, and I do it again. I'd love to do it again.
Good, it's a good role.
Yeah. Does a memory stand out to you where before or during a show something has gone wrong on either your part or the performance part where it was your situation to get out of?
It's really tricky. It's a good question. It's a tricky one to answer because at the point that the show opens, it's out of my hands. There's a whole tech team who look after the show. I build it all and create it all and put it all into the lighting desk with the lighting programmer. But once the show opens, I sit in the audience and it's someone else's problem. So yes, I suppose is the short answer. There have been many occasions when I've sat in the audience during one of my shows on the opening night and something's gone wrong, and I am powerless to do anything about it. And that is deeply unrelaxed. This sounds like a thing a martyr would say. Genuinely, if I could never watch another opening night again, I would. I mean, I know I have to. You have to because it's part of the job and it's contract, and it's good to see your own work and be appreciated for you. But it is deeply unrelaxing.
Mm. What are your thoughts on using light and shadow to create atmosphere in a production then? What is your thought?
I think shadow is more important than light. Is my ultimate. And I obviously all I do is play with light, but I'd much rather create a shadow with a light than a light. I think shadow tells more story than light does.
Yeah. And
And it be that only lighting half someone's face, which is interesting already, or lighting through a piece of set, so you get a big shaft of light. I think shadow is more important.
And so, what is the creative process then when it comes to designing lighting for production? Do you just go into a production meeting with the director, with the producers, etc., or with any whoever, sit down and do they tell you, right, this is what we would like, or do you go to them and say, I think this could, if we tweak this, this could work this way, etc. So, how does
If you take the team that I'm working with now, Amy and Emma, who I work a lot with, Amy and Emma will come up with the concept of the piece. So, for example, this Romeo and Juliet, the opera, is set in 1880. I think it's in the 1880s in New York City. And so I know the concept. It's 1 and 2 is at Capulet's New Year's Eve party. It's bright and bold. And then 3, 4, and 5 is afterwards, the color drains. We talk about certain specifics. I'm looking at lots of light bulbs, lots of festoons that are part of the set that I control. So we had lots of conversations about that. There's a moon that lights up here. Apart from that, there's not really there's never really a conversation of, and now the lights will do this, and now the lights will do this. I try and sit in as many rehearsals as possible so that I can notate everything that's happening. But mostly the music does the work, and the music will say, and now this should happen, and now this should happen. There's a bit in the beginning of this where there's 6 dancers across the front of the stage, and one by one, with a beat of music, they leap up. And so each one of those has a lighting cue, and the lights change with each one of those people as it goes. And that when you sit in the rehearsal, you can look at that and go, something's got to happen there. What has to happen there? The music says this, the dancers say this. You put those two together, and then you have a lighting cue, ultimately. So I think it's initial concept, which comes from the director and the designer, set and costume designer, and then the rest of it comes from rehearsals. And by the time we open the show, because I've sat in so many rehearsals and so many staging pianos and staging orchestras, I know the show incredibly well. And this show is a revival, in fact. We did this show in Malmö, in Sweden, last November. So I know this show doubly well, which is joyous. But yeah, there's never ever, I mean, sometimes Amy or another director may say, now the lights will get dimmer here. And sometimes they literally mean the lights have to get dimmer here for X, Y, and Z. Or sometimes they mean there's a change in mood or whatever. And it's my job to decipher what they mean or what I think is best, and then show them that. And if I'm wrong, they can have a conversation with me and we'll work it out. It's all about collaboration and teamwork. It's never, I'm the lighting designer, and so the lighting will look like this, and I am the director, so it will look like this. It's always just a conversation and how we want it to look and feel. Because that's the whole point of this. We're here to have a nice time.
Yeah.
And make something that looks great for audiences and for us.
I'll tell you a funny story, right? It just popped into my head, and it involves lighting. So I did a junior production. Anyone who's listening to this, I do apologize if you've heard this story before, but I must tell Charlie this story. So I did a production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory years ago, 2014, 13, 14. I played Grandpa Joe, and
I can see it.
Yeah. And what had happened? Well, actually, the audition piece was funny because I had the bug, and I stayed in the toilet until they called for the Grandpa Joe part. Nothing happened. I just stayed in the toilet because it was junior production. All kids were screaming and shouting, so I distanced myself away from them until one of my friends called me and said, "Reese, come in." So I did the piece, and then I went home and suffered for a week. But anyway, so so what happened was in the Dennis Powis Parish Hall. It was on a Friday night. Everything went wrong, and I'm not going to go through every single thing that went wrong. I'll tell you this one thing. So it's going into the scene where the Mike TV scene, where the television room, etc. And what's supposed to be on the stage is like a laser beam where it shrinks the things and turns it whatever. And so there's my friend Jack, who's playing Willy Wonka. My friend Samantha was playing Willy Wonka's assistant, sort of like a new character. Then there's me, then there's the kid Josh playing Charlie, and then there's my friend Leona who's playing Mike TV's mum, and of course Tegan playing Mike TV. So it's about 6 of us coming on the stage. And as we went on the stage, there was nothing, completely empty. The stage was empty. There was no set. There was no nothing. We just walked on there, and my mate Jack froze because he was supposed to say like, and he just froze, deer caught in the headlights moment. So from what seems like a few seconds to the person watching it feels like a long time for someone to get out of it. So I turned to my friends, I turned to Jack, and I'm thinking he is doomed. And I just said, so Mr. Wonka, where did that shoot go again? You know, where did Ruka go to? Where I'm basically trying to get him right. Come on, let's just keep going. Come on, troop on. So we're pushing him. I'm pushing him. So he's saying stuff. He's saying stuff, and I go, so Mr. Wonka, where are you going to take us now? Are you going to take us? Oh, what's that room over there? Let's go to that room. So I basically tell him, let's get off the stage. We'll go back on, and when the set is, but whatever. And as we're doing it, improvising all through this scene, the lights started to go on and off, on and off, on and off, and they were flickering. And I knew in my head, because I know the guy who does it, so because obviously it's just all gone to hell, and the lights flickered on and off, and I just turned to Jack and I went, "You forgot to pay the British gas bill, haven't you?"
I bet that went down a treat.
Oh, everyone started laughing. They knew. Because you got to remember, this is a junior production. The oldest people are myself, Jack, and basically the ones who are playing the adults. I'm the oldest. I was 15. I was the oldest, 15 years old. And then Jack he was 13, 14. So it was just teenager kids. We were all kids. And because I learned a bit of improv in school, it just came to me. And it's more like a funny, what would Robin Williams do? Oh, he would improvise. Yeah. He would get out of that situation, no problem. So, but the lights kept flickering on and off, and I said to Jack, "You've got to pay the gas bill." Blah blah blah. And I went, "Oh, don't worry, I haven't been paying the gas bill for over 25 years, and I'm still going strong." And
excellent. That's very fun.
And after everything else that went wrong, we left it. I got a bit of praise. I even had my mate Jack's father come up to me and just give me a big hug and go, that was a professional attitude that he had there. And I only found out sometime afterwards that an awards moderator was in the audience reviewing the entire show. And then next you know, I'm up for an award and I win it. To play.
How funny.
Yeah.
Well, as the saying goes, the show must go on. Be that talking about British gas bills or whatever. Have to crack on. Unless someone is dying, I can crack on with the show.
Yeah, it was just funny because I said to a few of the people I went, "Is anyone from British Gas here? Anyone here? No, good. Okay, I'm not going to get sued. This 15-year-old not going
to. Brilliant.
Final question for you then, Charlie. And once again, thank you for finding the time to.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're welcome. It's my absolute pleasure.
Question is, so far, how do you look back on your career?
In shock and joy that I have been lucky enough to play with the nicest people in some of the best places in the world, doing a job I love, listening to amazing orchestras play beautiful music with shock and joy.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further. than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 942 48. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.